of black on black genocide. Let me get to the politics of black on black fratricide. Let me get to the politics of black on black homicide. Here's what I want to say. There are labor unions in every major city. There are electrical unions, plumbing unions, HVAC unions, carpentry unions, welding unions in every major city. These labor unions control the jobs that people get on publicly funded contracts. These labor unions in Detroit, these labor unions in New York, these labor unions in Philadelphia, these labor unions in Los Angeles, these labor unions in Chicago, Milwaukee, Houston, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Little Rock, Phoenix, and all points in between. These labor unions control who gets hired. They control who gets into the union. They control all of this. They control this. The reason black men are unemployed, the reason black men are unemployed, the reason black men are unemployed is because our black politicians, listen to me, the reason so many black men are unemployed because our black politicians are scared of the white labor unions. Let me say it again. I'm going to make it real plain today. I'm going to make it real plain today why I'm not voting November the 8th. Let me make it real plain today. Let me make it really, really plain today. The reason black men are killing each other out of emotional stress and economic oppression is because the white controlled labor unions in the city you live in, that's right, I don't care where you live, there's a carpentry union, there's a plumbing union, there's an electric union, there's a mechanical union, there's a welding union, there's a roofing union, and they are controlled by white folks, and they only let a few black men in. And the only way you can bust up the union, the only way you can bust up the union is for black politicians to change the rules. Black politicians have to expose the corruption. All this money is going to the white union, and they keeping white men employed. The union is keeping white men employed. The union is keeping white men employed, and the black politicians ain't doing nothing about it. Oh, yep. 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 That's what the problem is. They making $75 an hour. They making $60 an hour. They making $50 an hour. And it ain't just the trades. Because some of y'all going to say, well, if he ain't got no license to be a plumber, if he ain't got no license to be an electrician, if he ain't got no license to be an HVAC, they can't get him no job. Okay. What about the unskilled unions? What about the city workers union or the trash man union? What about the trash union? You ain't got to have no license to be a trash man. You don't have to have no license to be a garbage collector. You don't have to have no license to clean up the city. Look at all the unions that are out there. There's all kind of city workers union, all kind of unions, and they are keeping black men unemployed with unfair contractual practices, unfair contracting, unfair, racist city contracting. Racism in city contracting is where black men have to start. I got a question for my alpha males. I got a question for my alpha males. I got a question for my alpha males. Are y'all ready to go protest at these construction sites? How many black men are ready to show up at the construction sites and don't let the white men go to work? That's what it comes down to. I'm going to tell y'all what this is going to come down to. I don't want to see it, but I'm telling you. On Nat Turner's birthday, I'm talking to every black man out there. I'm talking to every black man out there. Are you ready to show up at these publicly funded job sites and don't let the white men go to work until you have work? That's what it's going to take. We don't want violence. We don't want trouble. We don't want conflict. We don't want no problems. But what I do know, the politicians are too scared to do anything about it. The politicians are too scared to do anything about it. Black men gonna have to show up and show out. Until you stop the work from being done, until black men show up and show out, you will never get a paycheck. Until black men show up and show out. You absolutely right, Jay Bird Bryant. You absolutely right, Jay Bird Bryant. In fact, Jay Bird, I'm going to give it to you like this. Guess who are some of the biggest donors to Al Sharpton? Guess who are some of the biggest donors? Congressional Black Caucus. Guess who are some of the biggest donors? NAACP. Guess who are some of the biggest donors? Urban League. Guess who are some of the biggest donors in the black community? The white unions. Why you never hear Al Sharpton talking about racism in New York City labor contracts? Why you never hear Jesse Jackson talk about the racism and unfair hiring by the unions in America's cities? Because the white unions donate to Al Sharpton. They donate to Jesse Jackson. The white unions donate to the Congressional Black Caucus. They donate to your white mayor. They donate to your city council. The white unions pay off the black bourgeoisie. The white unions pay off the black bourgeoisie. The white unions pay off the black bourgeoisie, so they never bring up racism in union contracts. That's why Al Sharpton will talk about police genocide and voting until he blue in the face. Until he blue in the face. NAACP will talk about police brutality and voting until they blue in the face. The Urban League will talk about police genocide and voting until they blue in the face. Jesse Jackson will talk about police genocide and voting until they blue in the face. But the minute you start talking about the city jobs and the city contractors and how these white racist unions are keeping black men employed, how these white racist unions are keeping black men unemployed, how these white racist unions are keeping black men unemployed, the minute you start talking about that, the minute you start talking about these white racist labor unions, you don't hear nothing from your civil rights leaders. You don't hear nothing from the black church. You don't hear nothing from your black elected officials because they're scared of the union. They scared of the police union. They scared of the teachers union. They scared of the carpenter union. They scared of the firemen's union. They scared of the electrician union. They scared of the plumber union. And the only way we're going to fix this, the only way, Corey Bailey, your father black and your mama white. But which race do you identify with, Corey? Because there ain't no such thing as biracial. Choose a side, my brother. Corey Bailey, your father black, your mama white. I only got one question for you, my brother. Only got one question for you, my brother. Who do you side with? Which race do you identify with? Because it can't be both. It can't be both. I know it's not fair, my brother, but you got to choose. This is why the snow bunny crisis must stop. I know it's not fair, my brother, but you must choose. Multiracial is called fence walking. Whenever you hear Negroes say, I'm biracial, multiracial, you are a fence walker and you're trying to get the best of both worlds. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Corey Bailey, do you identify as African or do you identify as Caucasian? That's all I need to know. You either African or you Caucasian. A biracial Negro is a fence walker. A biracial Negro is a political fence walker, and I will not organize or struggle with a political fence walker. Multiracial means I am a fence walker. Multiracial means I don't want to commit yet to either side until I find out which side is going to give me the most. I'm not having it, Corey Bailey. I'm not having it, Corey Bailey. Choose a side, my brother. Identify with the oppressor or identify with the oppressed. Corey Bailey, it's not fair to you, my brother. But your parents decided to engage in snow bunny activity. And since they had snow bunny fever, no disrespect to your parents, my brother. I honor them both, but they had snow bunny fever. And because your parents had snow bunny fever, you were produced. You are biologically African. You are a biological African, but what are you psychologically, Corey? Are you psychologically Caucasian or are you psychologically African? Choose a side. Biracial means you are a political fence walker. You either identify with the slave or you identify with the slave master. You can't do both. You identify with the oppressor or you identify with the oppressed. You can't do both. You must choose a side. Make sure y'all subscribe, www.drumar.tv. Make sure you subscribe, www.drumar.tv. Subscribe to DrUMAR.tv. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the PayPal, FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, FDMG Academy. My brother, if you have a preference for a woman of a certain skin tone, you are not a Pan-Africanist. If you tell me I only date light-skinned sisters, you are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a light-skinned supremacist. You are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a light-skinned supremacist. You are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a light-skinned supremacist. Black woman, if you tell me you only date dark-skinned brothers. Black woman, if you tell me you only date dark-skinned brothers. Black woman, if you tell me you only date dark-skinned brothers, you are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a dark-skinned supremacist. You are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a dark-skinned supremacist. You are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a dark-skinned supremacist. No Pan-Africanist can have a preference for skin tone. If my wife be high yellow, so be it. If my wife be mixed race African sister, so be it. If my wife be blue, black, purple fudge, so be it. If my wife be cinnamon, so be it. If my wife be hot peanut butter, so be it. If my wife be sweet brown sugar, so be it. The first color on the RBG flag is red. The first color on the RBG flag is red. The first color on the RBG flag is red. Red, black, and green. It is Nat Turner's birthday today. It is Nat Turner's birthday today. It is Nat Turner's birthday today. It is Nat Turner's 222nd solar return. It is Nat Turner's 222nd solar return. Ifatunde 3 times. It is Nat Turner's 222nd solar return. Make sure you pour libation to the great prophet Nat Turner. Make sure you pour libation to the great prophet Nat Turner. Smoke a blunt don't smoke no blunts. You marijuana addicts better cut it out. You marijuana addicts better cut it out. You marijuana addicts better cut it out, because I hope you know they legalized marijuana to kill you. They legalized marijuana to destroy your reproductive capability. That's right, black man. Marijuana was legalized to help the genocide campaign against American Africans. Marijuana was legalized to help the genocide campaign against American Africans. Marijuana was legalized to help the genocide campaign against American Africans. Most of the marijuana you smoke is artificial. Most of the marijuana you smoke is artificial. Most of the marijuana you smoke is artificial. Not only is most of the marijuana you smoke artificial, it's being sprayed. They spraying the weed. They spraying the weed. And they spraying the weed with artificial cannabinoids made in China. They spraying the weed with artificial cannabinoids made in China. They spraying the fake marijuana with fake cannabinoids. They spraying the fake marijuana with fake cannabinoids, and you Negroes ain't gonna be able to get an erection. You ain't gonna be able to get no erection. You ain't gonna be able to get nobody pregnant. You're gonna have a psychotic episode, paranoid schizophrenia, heart attack, stroke. They killing y'all. Black women, you're going to get cervical cancer. You're going to get breast cancer. You're going to get vaginal cancer. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Your fallopian tubes is going to get cancer. The new marijuana is a weapon of mass destruction. Stop smoking the artificial marijuana. It is fake, and it is being sprayed with cannabinoids from China. You think the opioid crisis was a problem? You think the opioid crisis was a problem? You think the opioid crisis was a problem? Wait until you see this marijuana crisis. Wait until you see this synthetic marijuana crisis.